evening. I now call this meeting to order. Board of Alder, Health and Human Service Committee. Board of Alders, New Haven, notice. The Health and Human Service Committee will meet in person on Thursday, February 26, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Board of Alders Chambers, 165 Church Street, second floor, New Haven, to act on the following. Tonight we have two items on our agenda. LM 2025-0643, order of the Board of Alders of City of New Haven calling for a workshop regarding the catering license fee and first year free policy for New Haven food businesses. Item number 2, LN-2025-0642, order of the Board of Alders, New Haven, City of New Haven, calling for a workshop regarding the catering of packaging food vendor permit, low-risk sealed food. These items are on file and available for public inspection in the Office of Legislative Service, 165 Church Street, New Haven, for order. Honorable Campton St. Chair, that's Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. If you need any accessible related accommodation, please contact 203-946-7651, voice 203-946-8582 TTY. In accordance with the City of New Haven COVID-19 policy, masks are now optional. Public may send public testimony to the public testimony at newhavenct.gov. Meeting can be viewed and Board of Alders, New Haven, YouTube. Like to recognize our Majority Leader, Alder Furlow in the chamber. Thank you, sir. I will now call the makers of this workshop to come forward and present. And I would ask if you could please turn your phone silence while you're in the chamber, please. And when you come up to testify, state your name and address for the record, please. Speak into the mic so we can get you the record. Thank you. You may continue.
Sasha Fay, 162 James Street, New Haven, Connecticut.
Caroline Tommy Smith, 45 Nash Street, New Haven. Good evening, Chair Singh and honorable members of the Health and Human Services Committee. It's wonderful to see you colleagues, and just thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. Again, my name is Caroline Tommy Smith. I am proud to serve with you all on the Board of Alders and really thrilled to be joined by Sasha Fay from City Seed, one of the organizational co-sponsors of the workshop tonight, in addition to Reset Collab and of course Alder Sarah Miller, who will be here a little bit later. Tonight is about policies to support one deeply important and fundamental part of our city, our neighborhoods, and our economy, which is our small businesses. You can flip to the next one. Director, thank you so much, Director Lucas.
1 second, I would like to introduce my colleague.
Oh, hello. Again, Marnelli, 48.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a little bit of backstory on Best City to Start. At the beginning of the year, we launched this campaign called Best City to Start, which is a small business policy campaign focused on making it easier and more affordable to start and grow a business in New Haven. The campaign's real fundamental belief is that New Haven is a city of entrepreneurs. It has been, and it always will be. Back in 2017, I had the privilege to co-found Collab, a local business accelerator here in New Haven, and have had the opportunity to sit across the table from hundreds of entrepreneurs who are aspiring to start a business in the city. And over the years, it's very clear that there's no dearth of brilliance, of ideas across multiple neighborhoods in New Haven to start a business. And also we have incredible hardworking staff in our city, but there is a gap in policy. Something we've heard over and over again is New Haven entrepreneurs hit so many of the same barriers with our city's permitting licensing process, high fees, complex and confusing permitting, and long processes to get approvals. And so at its core, this campaign is about one simple idea, that we can and we should fix these rules. And by fixing them, we can support new startups, long-standing businesses, and also our hardworking city staff. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. So before, oh, go ahead, Sasha. Yeah.
So I do want to also report that I am a small business owner as well, of Obel Coffee, and my work with the entrepreneurs that I've been doing over the past 7 months has been tremendous. Very excited to bring this policy forward and support the entrepreneurs that we've been hearing from time and time again, this challenge coming up. So before we dive into the challenges, we want to acknowledge something important. New Haven is in an amazing city, one of the best cities to start this policy, and we are supporting entrepreneurs through City Seed and also through our shared use commercial kitchens. The commercial kitchen is currently located at Dixwell Avenue, and we also will be opening up, as you can see on the slide, an 18,000 square foot state-of-the-art building by 2028, and it will encompass 6 shared use kitchens. So we also want to just mention that the hard work of the staff here in this room, and then also our health department in New Haven, Brian is also here with us today, and the work of the Department of Consumer Protection, Melissa and Jackie, has been just very helpful in us getting these policies in front of you today.
Next. So the first 2 Best City to Start policies you'll hear tonight came directly from entrepreneurs. Over the last year, we've hosted 2 entrepreneur roundtables and have had dozens of one-on-one conversations with entrepreneurs. Thank you again to multiple city departments, entrepreneurs, and organizations, particularly city departments, for attending and listening so thoughtfully. And one thing we heard over and over again is our permitting and licensing process needs to be easier, clearer, and more affordable. And we believe we can maintain standards around health and excellence while increasing clarity, alignment, and removing duplicative or disproportionate barriers.
Tonight's workshop focuses on small businesses policies that came directly from those conversations. Workshop 1, making the catering license fee affordable by launching a first-year free program. And Workshop 2, create a streamlined packaged food goods permit for New Haven makers to ensure businesses are registered with the city while reducing duplicative barriers. We will dig into this further in the presentation. Both of these policies are aimed to make a difference for entrepreneurs, city staff, and community members.
And we're really excited that these policies are supported by a broad group of champions, many of whom are in this room, including both entrepreneur support organizations like the Lab at Concorp, Black Business Alliance, Collab, Reset, City Seed, of course, Westville Village Renaissance Alliance, Grand Avenue Special Services District, Arts Council of Greater New Haven, among many other great organizations, again, that you'll hear from tonight. And again, we've a big appreciation for our community of entrepreneur champions who have also helped to support and design these policies, Havenly, Oshito, Babel Pie, and so many other folks in this room. It's been really special to bring this coalition of organizations together.
Let's dive in. The first workshop policy is making the catering license fee affordable. Next slide. Thank you. Right now, in order for a business to cater outside of their restaurant or commercial kitchen for an event or at multiple vendor fairs, they need to get a catering license. New Haven's catering license fee is one of the highest in the region. It is $650 in the first year and then $550 every year after that. For early stage food entrepreneurs, $650 upfront before you've even sold a plate of food can be very detrimental. Sometimes it delays the launch of a business, it kills dreams, and sometimes it pushes people to just stop automatically. In addition, the catering license fee is not prorated. And so if a food business gets a license in March for the first year at $650, the renewal process happens every year in May, where they would then pay a fee of $550. In other words, in just 3 months, a food business has to pay $1,200 for the catering license fee alone. Next slide, please. When we compare other cities like Hartford, Providence, Stamford, and others, New Haven is higher than its peers. In fact, in our research, we found that not a single city is higher than New Haven.
This chart talks a little bit about utilization. So over the last 3 years, New Haven has issued between 40 and 60. I believe Brian just told us this year it's 65. So around 40 to 65 catering licenses annually. And roughly around 80% of these are renewals. In other words, businesses who are applying again for a second or third time. This is the number of new catering businesses getting licenses, therefore, is actually quite small. It's around 8 to 15 every year that are starting anew and getting a catering license for the first time. And so we believe, in a 138,000 person city, it's a really low number. And we hope that by creating these kinds of policies, we can encourage a larger number of organizations to be able to file for a catering license fee in the future and contribute to more business activity and resilience. And so given these numbers, again, looking at the 2024 number of a little over 60 catering licenses, that means in 2024, catering license fees generated a little over $30,000 in total revenue. So that's less than $31,000. And so to put that in context, our revenue from all permits, licenses, and fees is around $27 million in the city. And that therefore the catering license fee is only 1% of that line item of permits, licenses, and fees. In fact, the vast majority of that revenue for that line item of permits, licenses, and fees, 68% comes from building inspections and permits, which is in part contributed to by businesses who are getting to the scale and point where they can grow into a storefront. And so having a more accessible top of funnel, which is really what we're talking about today, helps us to grow this more significant revenue down the road. And then second, in addition, obviously we have a over $700 million budget as a city. That means the catering license fee accounts for 0.00004% of the total city revenue. In other words, this is a really small revenue line item. It's small revenue line item for the city, but a very large startup cost for an individual entrepreneur. And so our proposal and our policy recommendation is simple: make the catering license fee more affordable with a first year free program and a decreased annual cost. Here's how it would work. We've made the first year of the catering license free to encourage and support new startups and entrepreneurs. And then the next year the fee would start, but this time at $200. So on par with our peer cities. And we're not the first to do this. San Francisco, California launched a first year program for hundreds of fees. They have over 13,000 businesses that are participating in their first year free program, again, for literally over 100 fees to make it easier for startups to get in the door and then begin paying in subsequent years.
First year fee and reducing the catering license fee would support the following goals. Support food businesses to start by lowering barriers to entry with limited startup capital. Encourage more participation in the city's permitting process by reducing the number of under-table catering businesses transactions. Reduce costs for food businesses to grow. Less investment in fees leaves more to the investment in equipment, hiring, and business development.
So now on to the second workshop and the second policy. In this policy, we're proposing to create a streamlined packaged goods permit. Thanks for doing this. All right, so right now, if you're selling a consumer packaged good, so these are things like pickle jars, jam jars, hot sauce, granola, tea, you apply right now in the city for the same licenses as a full service or temporary food caterer. But packaged goods are already very heavily regulated at the state and actually also federal level. They have numerous rules, inspections, labeling processes, fees, and more to ensure safety standards at the state level.
As you can see here, CPG vendors go through processes including significant Department of Consumer Protection processes, including 1 to 2 inspections to ensure health, safety, and standards are both in the space and production process, numerous fees and permits, and even federal compliance regulations. And then on top of that, when they come to a local level, they have to pay a catering license, hawker's permit, and they have to vend. They're also making payments when they're vending at multiple events as well.
Excuse me. Alder from Ward 16 has joined us. Welcome.
Hey, Alder, great to see you. And so here's our policy recommendation: create a simple permit for packaged goods, also known as the packaged good permit, or a sort of cuter name, the pickle jar permit. Here's how it would work. An entrepreneur who has a pickle jar company, a hot sauce company, or other CPG would simply upload their state level approvals and register with the city. Registering with the city is really important. So they'd register with the city, including their DCP inspection confirmation. And then they'd pay no additional fee. And of course, this would still be in line, and they'd have to be in compliance and aligned with health, labeling, and inspection rules. One thing we did want to note, and we were having a great conversation with Brian from the health department, is we believe that the cottage food businesses, these are food businesses that are operating out of their home, could apply to this as well, so they could have no fee for when they vend, but they might be subject to an additional inspection, for example, if they're sampling at a vendor market. And so one of the goals from this workshop is to then work with the health department to sort out some of those details around would cottage food apply to this or not.
So this policy will also reduce the barrier for local food entrepreneurs by again reducing the fees that is associated with startups. Most startups get about $500 in capital, so this would actually be very beneficial. Encourages more small businesses at events, including farmers markets, night markets, and holiday fairs. Align fees with actual health risks by distinguishing CPGs from caterers and given DCP inspections. Reducing duplicative barriers for CPGs, acknowledges significant state compliance needs, and positions New Haven as the best city to start for CPG brands, nurturing the next wave of local makers. In this, we plan to nurture businesses like Wildwood Granola, who's here today, Oshido, also here today, and many more entrepreneurs that we serve through our organizations.
And lastly, we'd like to close by, again, thanking you all for listening today. And, Sasha and I have the privilege to work with so many different entrepreneurs. And I think what, I've come to define entrepreneurship is ultimately taking a risk on behalf of your community. And I think for so many entrepreneurs in this room, it's very clear that entrepreneurship is an act of love and care for our neighborhood or for their community. And so I think for us, when we think about that definition of entrepreneurship as taking a risk on behalf of us, the goal of these policies is to make it less risky for them to start and to take that leap that is entrepreneurship. And so thank you all so much for listening. I'm so excited for you all to hear from both the entrepreneur sport organizations that are here today, as well as from the entrepreneurs themselves.
Thank you all. This is a workshop, not a public hearing, but I will take testimony from entrepreneurs and who wish to testify that here. Please keep it to the agenda, and we will do a 3 minutes and testimony.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Would you like for me to call people up?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, Mr. Chair, based on your recommendation of calling individuals up to testify in groups, I was thinking about first bringing up a group of entrepreneur support organizations to testify. These are individuals working with day in and day out with entrepreneurs, and then moving to a group of entrepreneurs focused on the catering license, and then focusing on CPG, and then we'll take it from there. Does that sound good, Mr. Chair?
Very good. You're the maker of this item, so I'll give you that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd love to invite up Sarah and NDPC from Collab and Reset, Anne Marie Knight from the Black Business Alliance, Rawa from Sanctuary Kitchen, as well as a representative from the Chamber of Commerce. Please come up.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and address for the record before you start, please? Thank you.
Sarah Bodley, 162 James Street. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm Sarah Bodley, Executive Director of Reset, which had the pleasure of bringing Collab New Haven under our umbrella last year. And we're really proud to be a co-sponsor of these recommendations today. We really believe that these will impact our small businesses for the better. In our work, we're committed to providing rigorous support for early stage founders who are aiming to build their businesses with purpose and impact throughout the whole state, but particularly here in New Haven. And our work began almost 20 years ago, so we've had a lot of time to get to know some of the needs of businesses. Over the years, we've helped collectively over 500 launch and scale, and we serve hundreds each year through various kind of wraparound supports, incubators, accelerators, et cetera. So we're really excited to be here to testify on their behalf, and some of them are in the room today, so I'm glad you'll hear from them as well. We really believe this will make a world of difference, so I'll speak to each proposal in turn. So the first year free, lowering that catering license fee. You know, many of the food businesses that we engage with are starting with catering. It's seen as kind of a lower barrier to entry. A lot of folks are really good cooks and they realize that this is something they can make into a business. Because it's seen as a low barrier to entry, you know, it's a great way to start. However, the reality is startup costs for food businesses across the board are high. And when you think about the need for commercial kitchen space, the supplies, storing their food, you know, there's a lot of other costs right out the gate, and that adds up very quickly. So giving this first year free opportunity, we really see that that could be instrumental as an on-ramp to help folks get off the ground more quickly so that they can start bringing in some revenue sooner. They might be ready in every other way to make that first sale, and this could really help them do that more quickly and begin to grow their businesses. Secondly, the pickle jar permit, where, you know, focused on the packaged goods side. These are products that are shelf stable, they are sealed products, they've already gone through a rigorous safety process, as you heard. And so again, I think we see and hear this often, that it allows folks to move more quickly when they can streamline that step, and without having that extra barrier of having to go through an expensive and in some ways redundant process at the city level. So of course, as consumers, we want the confidence that the products are safe to consume, that, you know, we know we're comfortable with what we're purchasing, and thankfully that is already built in at the state and federal level, as you heard. So again, we just think this is a real benefit from the work that we do. It would really help folks to be able to move faster, to scale up more quickly and more efficiently. So again, I think you'll hear more stories that can better illustrate this point, but I just want to uplift again the fact that it makes good sense. I think we're all up to seeing businesses thrive and succeed here, and you know, this change would potentially help really show even more that New Haven is a really welcoming place for entrepreneurs, and we want them here. We want them to be able to grow well. So we really appreciate you hearing all of this out and considering these opportunities. Thank you.
New BCOKK, 162 James Street. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Alders. I serve as the program manager at Reset and Collab, and we've been supporting early stage entrepreneurs across New Haven. And we're proud to be co-sponsoring this bill with CDC and Caroline and the Alders who are behind it. Through my work, I've spent years supporting food business owners at the earliest stages of starting up. And based on that experience, I wholeheartedly support both of these legislation. I work with entrepreneurs who just had just enough to get started, scraping together funds for equipment, kitchen space, and another $650 for a license, maybe the difference between launching and getting into the markets this year versus waiting another season. I've also worked with entrepreneurs who actually didn't realize that they needed catering licenses at all. And by the time I started working with them, they'd actually already started building. They started small, did events informally, and had no ideas about the requirements. I think these policies address both groups. For those who are ready to start, but they're cash strapped, first year free takes them off the sidelines. It allows them to direct their funds towards food safety, storage, insurance, the kind of things that protect public health and that I think are probably in the best and most pertinent interests of the city. And for those who began without knowing the rules, this policy brings them out of the shadows. When the barrier to entry is lower and the messaging to them is simpler as well, Entrepreneurs, they're more likely to participate in the permitting process rather than avoid it. And I think the same rationale applies to the pickle jar permit. I've worked with small packaged good makers as well, and a lot of them fall into the same categories. They're operating on super tight budgets, or they're navigating the requirements between state and local levels, and again, with fees that are incongruent with where they are. I believe both of these policies ultimately benefit the city. From an ecosystem perspective, as entrepreneur support organizations, the fee structure creates friction in the messaging. As an organization that supports entrepreneurs, all of us, it's much easier to encourage an entrepreneur to comply with the fees when it's aligned with both their stage of business and the level of risk that they present. So these policies, they send a really clear signal about New Haven. New Haven wants you to operate legally and safely, but we also want you to be successful. Over time, it means more licensed businesses, more tax-paying enterprises, more jobs, a more vibrant local food economy. It's about encouraging participation in the system that flourishes and makes it better for everyone. To that end, I strongly support these policies, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Good evening to our distinguished chairs and members of the committee and the Aldermanic Board. Good evening, my name is Anne Marie Knight and I serve as the Executive Director of the Black Business Alliance. My address is 1201 Boston Post Road in Milford. And we're a statewide entrepreneurs support organization. We've also served, like our other partners here, many food-based businesses, helping them move from idea to sustainable operation. I want to begin by just thanking our alders who put forward this policy and thank them for their consideration and willingness to think creatively about how New Haven can support small businesses. I think it was 20 years ago when I started my own small business in New Haven, which included food packaged businesses. Maybe if these policies had been around, my business would still be operating today. I also want to state quite clearly that I'm in support of both of these policy proposals. Over the past few years, we've worked with multiple food entrepreneurs who have completed the incubator programs. They've taken food courses, they've developed the packaging, they've built strong products from jams, sauces, to baked goods and specialty items. They do everything right. They follow state regulations, they invest in branding, they prepare to sell at markets. But then they hit one barrier, another fee, another layer, and then they're in trouble. For a business that may be only generating a few dollars in the early stages of their business, a revenue fee of over $650 in 1 year, it's not minor. It can stall momentum at the most fragile stage. And I think something that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that an important piece of business development and entrepreneur development is the capacity to validate and test good business ideas. To be able to test your product in the market is important, and to be able to put that kind of a fee forward and then find that you need to make adjustments and then do more fees on top of it, it's unreasonable and it's not helpful for our businesses. So making the first year of the catering license free and reducing future fees is a meaningful investment in early stage entrepreneurs. It gives them both breathing room to stabilize before carrying full regulatory cost. I also support the pickle jar permit for consumer packaged goods businesses that are already meeting state requirements. Eliminating duplicative local inspections while maintaining consistent standards and preserving the health department's authority to act if compliant arises is smart policy design. This is not about lowering standards, it's about aligning systems. When state and local processes connect more seamlessly, entrepreneurs spend less time navigating paperwork and more time building viable businesses. Policies like these send a clear message. New Haven wants businesses not just to be here, not just to start here, but to grow here. From the perspective of entrepreneurs that we serve, particularly micro and emerging business owners, these protocols, these proposals reduce friction at the point where it matters most. And when we remove unnecessary friction at the beginning of a business journey, we don't just help entrepreneurs, we strengthen the economic future of our entire city. I thank you all for your leadership and commitment to strengthening our entrepreneur ecosystem.
Thank you.
Good evening. Honorable Chair and members of the committee, my name is Victoria Verderam. I am the Director of Public Policy and Communications at the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. My address for the record is 130 Alps Road, Branford. It's an honor to be here this evening representing over 850 businesses in the New Haven region, many of which are in this city. I don't want to belabor points that have already been so well stated by others before me, but what the two policies before you tonight and what we're discussing are essentially removing barriers to entry. And that is so, so essential for small business entrepreneurs in this city. It seems clear the policy is smart. Not only are you removing those barriers, but you're reducing duplicative actions. And we're seeing this a lot at the state level now. Part of my role is not only advocacy here in the city, but also at the state level. And one of Governor Lamont's initiatives for the past two legislative sessions have been removing and reducing occupational licensing fees. So this is right on brand with policy that we are already seeing at the state level. It's clear that this state and this city want to see small businesses thrive, and these two policies are a way to do that. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Rawa Ghazi. I'm the Director of Operation of Sanctuary Kitchen. We are part from City Seed and we are located on 109 Legion Avenue in New Haven. So our Sanctuary Kitchen is social enterprise and we are support refugee and immigrant women. And we catering food and also we have a training program. We have two cohort every year and each one lasts for 5 months. We welcoming 15 or more than that for refugee and immigrant women, help them to teach them about the food safety and the language for the measurement of the food and all that. After they finish, we are put them in an internship with the food industry. Most of them, they really love to be open their small business, but like the barrier, it is like paying 650 for the first permit. It's too hard for them, especially they are not start their business yet and they don't have any income. So paying this amount of money in the beginning, it is hard for them, and they want to use this money, for example, to buy equipment or like an ingredient to start their business. So the first year is free. It will be really helping new entrepreneurs start without fear. It gives them a fair chance also. Also for packaging food like spice, sauce, and packaged good, the process can be confusing and expensive. A similar and lower cost permit would help small makers sell at farmers market and grow step by step. New Haven has many talented people. If we lower the barriers, we help families create jobs and make our city stronger. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who testified so eloquently. As Mr. Chair indicated, before we get to inviting up some entrepreneurs, we'd love to invite up Brian from the Health Department, who I believe has a presentation and has been such a fantastic partner on these policies. Come on up, Brian.
Yeah, you can put it like that. Okay. Let's begin.
You got it.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. Thank you. Please state your name and address and your organization before you get started.
No problem. My name is Brian Lennox. I'm the Director of Environmental Health for the City of New Haven Health Department. Address is 424 Chapel Street. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. As Mr. Lucas is pulling on my presentation, I'm trying to give a general overview on kind of what I'm going to be speaking about tonight. I basically want to give an overview of what we as the health department do related to the catering licenses and also kind of our regulatory framework and structure to why we do what we do in our roles. I also want to define what a food service establishment is, what a catering license is, and what a temporary license is, and kind of how each of these plays into what these organizations do in their vending and food establishment roles. I do want to do a clarification on what a caterer is and kind of why we use the caterer category. There is a reason to why we did this, and hopefully I can kind of demonstrate what it is. Next slide. So just my overview. I also want to explain why eliminating food service application fees for caterers may not be feasible. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on that, and then also ask the question, which I did get part of an answer tonight, which I think is need for a further discussion as to whether this will apply to all caterers within the city or just a specific category of caterers. So as Alderman has mentioned in her prior discussion, we have about 64 caterers that are operating within the city for the 2025-2026 license period. So that would be May 1st, 2025 to May 1st, 2026. Of those 64, we have 5 that are event caterers, means they go to events and such as Southern has a picnic that they're hosting, and this caterer has pulled a license with us to do those events. Then we also have 10 caterers that are part of the farmers market, and there's a reason as to why they're classified as caterers, and I'll get to that in a little while. Next slide. So just to give an overview of what our regulatory authority is, our kind of marching orders, our barking orders come from the state of Connecticut, which in 2023 adopted the FDA Model Food Code. So prior to 2023, Connecticut operated on its own public health code. But in 2023, we adopted the federal FDA Food Code, which gives us all of our laws and regulations that must be enforced under that. We also operate under the Connecticut Public Health Code, which basically adopted the FDA Food Code and put a couple other requirements in there. And then we also operate under the New Haven Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, which talks specifically about food service establishments and such. Though it doesn't need to be said, food safety is our #1 priority. Licensing, inspections, enforcement, and complaint response is probably one of our more important things. Conducting plan reviews, document reviews, and pre-operational inspections are what the inspectors that work under me do on a daily basis. They also consult with other departments, whether they be federal, local, or state partners, when applications come in to see whether the operation is legal and whether it falls within compliance with stated ordinances and regulations. The approval fee structure collected for these services support not only the inspections that are conducted, but also any compliance activities that we need to enforce. Okay. So per the City of New Haven Code of Ordinances, food service is defined as any premises or area where food or beverage are prepared, sold, distributed to the public for consumption on, about, or off such premise. So that definition is pretty specific. So any food service on a property is under the ordinance. Okay? So we have to use that definition when we license places. Any premise area where groceries, bakery products, confectionaries, meats, fish, vegetables, etc., all fall into that category. Okay? Also, any premises where food or beverages are prepared in bulk. So we're getting into the catering part. Next slide. Okay. Further goes on to say trucks, automobiles, push carts, or other vehicles. Then it goes on to say the premises having facilities for the preparation, service, or delivery of food. And the last section talks about any premise used to conduct catering food service, said service being one which involves the sale or distribution of food or drink prepared in bulk at one location for service in individual portions at another in which involves preparation or service not under ownership. That's what we hook on, okay? So just some classic examples of what food service establishments include are your traditional caterers, food trucks, itinerant vendors, shared kitchens, and micro businesses, and also temporary food service operations such as markets, fairs, and festivals. Okay. Inspection requirement, and this comes specifically under Connecticut General Statute 368A, requires all local health departments to inspect every food service operation. Every food service operation under the adopted 2022 FDA food code. So if there's temporary food service, we have to inspect it. If there's a restaurant, we have to inspect it. If there's a caterer, we have to inspect it. Everything needs to be done. The frequency of those inspections is based upon the risk factor to the public. Okay. Additional inspections can be done, but they're not required. So at least one has to be done, but multiple ones can be done based upon the risk assessment that's there. Okay? Local health departments cannot waive our statutory requirements. So at least under Chapter 368A, inspections have to be done on these facilities. So what is a caterer? We talked about what a food service establishment is, and caterers are part of that food service establishment. But caterers prepare food in bulk at one location for service at another. Sale or distribution of food or drink prepared in bulk at one geographical location, for service in individual portions, and then which involve the preparation or service of food on public or private premises not under the ownership. So the same definition that we gave kind of before when we were talking about food service establishments. There are risks when we're talking about a caterer. Okay? Catering operations typically involve more challenging food transportation, food holding processes. We're talking about requirements that most any operator understands. Hot foods need to be kept at 135, cold foods need to be kept at 41, but there are some challenges to that. So when we talk about challenges, we talk about a little bit more risk, we talk about a little bit more oversight. Risks associated with time and temperature are always going to be our biggest concern, protecting public health. Increased potential for cross-contamination, and also variable service environments. Okay. Then we have the definition of what a temporary food service establishment is, and that's any food service, and this is under the New Haven Code of Ordinances, again, 14-5, that talks about service of from any food service establishment that occurs outside of their normal operation for either a 1 day or up to a 2-week successful consecutive period in time. That's associated with another event such as a carnival, circus, public exhibition, or festival. So why am I going in? So why am I going into this? So temporary food service operations follow the same code as food service establishments do. So the rules don't change because the location changes. All the rules are kind of the same. So just example of temporary events include weddings, fairs, festivals, carnivals, generals. So why am I going into all this temporary food service stuff? So a couple of years ago, we decided that we were going to help entrepreneurs out. We were going to help people out. So if you are a food entrepreneur and you're selling at a market or at a festival or whatever it may be, technically you would need to pull a temporary food service license with us. That costs us $80 a day, or up to $200 if it's a 14-day consecutive period. So if you have an event on the green, they used to have the concerts on the green, or arts and ideas, for a good example. If you were selling on there and you were doing it for a subsequent 14-day period, or more than one day, it would be a $200 fee. Okay? This supports, the reason that we moved to this, from having them pay the temporary license fee to paying the catering fee, is because that money adds up very quickly. So if you have $80 a day and you're operating at, say, 10 events, that's $800. Versus if you pull the catering license, that's $550. It saves you money. It gives us operational oversight. It allows us to step in and make sure that requirements are being met. So that's how we use the catering license as an alternative to the temporary license. Other considerations regarding catering licenses. Okay. As was said before in the presentations and such, some caterers manufacture bottle, jar, or packaged food products. These activities do require a separate license. They require a license under the state of Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection, under what's called food manufacturing license. And also, if you're dealing with any meats or poultry, you'd actually fall under the USDA also. In the state of Connecticut, the Department of Consumer Protection acts as the agent for the FDA. So that's kind of why FDA is not being introduced here. They act as the agent for the FDA. So the FDA coming in, the Department of Consumer Protection covers it for them. Per the New Haven Code of Ordinances, the New Haven Health Department is still required to license these type of food service operations. Because if they are producing and they're selling the food product, DCP will license what you make. We license when you serve it. So as soon as you open it, it becomes DPH. That's our role. Okay? So just, I wanted to provide a simple differences between what DPH does and what DCP does. And the big things I always want to focus on is kind of what I just said under primary focus. DCP's primary focus is safe food production and product compliance. We're concerned with safe food handling and service. So the food can be safe in the jar. Food can be safe in the container. But once you pop it open, that's where the risk comes in. Okay. Also, I like to highlight the inspection goals. DCP generally conducts inspections once a year. If, depending upon their staffing, they sometimes are able to do 2 times a year. But what I've been hearing in the past has been once a year, once every other year, depending upon their operation. We're required to do at minimum once a year. So that's kind of a coverage on that too. A little bit of safety. The caterers. I missed. Oh, we're good. Case example, I wanted to just show a real quick case example for food product manufacturing. So if a food service manufacturer packages a shelf-stable product like pickles, I mentioned that before, you do require a DCP license for manufacturing and wholesaling of that product. However, under the New Haven ordinance, because it's still considered a food service establishment, you would need a food service license for any preparation and storage. Any preparation or service of those items. So in other words, if you were at a farmer's market and you were selling jars of pickle, great. However, if you sell 1 pickle for 25 cents or 3 pickles for $1, you would require a food service license. Now you fall into our realm. At DCP, you fall into our realm. Okay, it would require a temporary license. Next. This was a question when I was drafting this presentation, I kind of wanted to ask, was the licensure requirement of the first year free license also applicable to those operations that are generally, specifically I should say, doing full service catering, such as an Anthony's, such as bakery pizza truck, places like that. Our answer is going to be, we would hope, no, because operations would have a significant higher risk, as what I described, and would require a tremendous amount more oversight, a lot different than what, say, an entrepreneur would be doing. So I just want to make sure that if we're asking that all catering operations are going to be exempt for that first year, there is a difference between the two. Between somebody who comes to us and says, I'm selling a prepackaged product, versus somebody who has a business and generally sells catering services for weddings, parties, things like that. Just to wrap up, caterers are food service establishments under both the FDA food code and under the New Haven ordinance. Many caterer operations pose an increased food safety risk. I'm not saying all, but a lot of them do. Some caterers also require state manufacturing licenses and federal licensure based on what they're producing. The current fee structure already provides a cost mitigation solution when we use the catering license in lieu of the temporary food license. That's kind of our solution to the whole thing. And not all caterers are operating in the same manner, and some would have a higher risk to food safety, requiring more of our staff time and resources. We work, I know somebody had brought up before about redundancy and such, and we in public health like redundancy because it kind of covers each of us. We work very closely with the Department of Consumer Protection, particularly I could tell you when we license a place, they and an establishment is going for a license with DCP, they call us and they're like, we get a copy of their inspection. They want to see what we look at versus what they look at, because the inspection forms are not the same. Okay. That's all I have. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. This was very insightful. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, before inviting some entrepreneurs to come up, I would love to just provide some other color based on Director Winnick's presentation, if that would be all right. Great. So just to, first of all, Director Winnick, fantastic presentation. Two just quick clarifying points. So two policies, one's around first year free for the catering license. To Director Winnick's point, the first year free is a proposal of a reduction in the fee and has nothing to do with the inspection. So the inspection would remain exactly the same. It would just be about making it more affordable. And to his point, the temporary food license for someone to do an individual event is very expensive. And as you'll hear from entrepreneurs, the catering license is also very expensive. But just I want to make that very, very clear. We're certainly not proposing to eliminate the permit itself or the license itself, just the reduction of the fee. And then second, for the consumer packaged good permit, I think Director Winnick brings up a great point, and we were talking about this a little bit prior to the workshop, which is perhaps making a distinction between someone selling an individual jar at a vendor market versus someone providing samples. And I think it makes a lot of sense that if someone's providing samples, that there would be an inspection. We're in complete alignment with Director Winnick and a lot of his points in alignment with them. And we believe that both of these policies are actually quite aligned with a lot of the principles that he put out. So hopefully that's clarifying. Next, we'd love to bring up some entrepreneurs to testify, and specifically, we'd love to bring up some entrepreneurs who can speak to the second policy around the consumer packaged good. And so we'd love to bring up Chris and Josh from All Day Bar, Kwame from Oshito, Apple Pie, and Wildwood Granola. Was I missing any other CPGs in the room? Great, those four. Thank you very much.
seat. You can commence when you like.
Okay.
Name
Hello.
and address.
Yeah, I'm Rick Lammerak. I live on 46 Star Street in New Haven. I'm going to talk a little bit about the catering license. So I moved to New Haven 2 years ago from the Netherlands as a trailing spouse. And a few months ago, I started my small home baking business, BoA, specializing in Dutch pies and cookies. And as a cottage food licensed baker, I'm only allowed to sell directly to customers and only from my home. Although I'm passionate about my Dutch products and people who have tried my products also love them, I feel that many are a bit wary of ordering something that they might not know or seen before. Realizing that early on, I measured myself doing pop-ups around New Haven, creating opportunities to display my Dutch products and obviously increase sales. This has been a lot more challenging than I hoped. I could only achieve a physical presence with a New Haven catering license. And compared to other licenses and fees that I have to get, the catering license is very expensive. That would not necessarily be the biggest problem if I could use that license for a full year the moment I get it or obtain it. However, that is not the case. There's a fixed renewal date in May. So you could say that I started my business too late or too early, because if I apply for the catering license now, I would have to pay 2 full years and only in a period of only a few months, setting me back to $1,200 without having the time and sales to offset that expense. And at this moment in time, that is just too much of a financial burden. This has discouraged me from obtaining the catering license and starting my business in October, which in turn has led to less sales than anticipated. And at the same time, it also has forced me to look for sales opportunities outside of New Haven. For instance, at this moment, I'm only applying for farmers markets outside of New Haven in neighboring towns because I need the catering license. It is unfortunate that under the current catering license policy, you need perfect timing for the policy to work in your favor as a small local business. Needless to say, I strongly support any proposals that help small businesses like mine to grow and stay active in their hometown. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Vice Chair Miller join us.
Thank you.
May I proceed? Name and address, please.
Joshua Cantor, 119 Foster Street in New Haven. Thank you to the Board of Alders and the chair here for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of the Best City to Start. Kudos to Alders Canby, Smith, and Miller for championing this initiative. As someone who eats and yearns to create in New Haven, I'm hopeful at the prospect of making it simpler for local entrepreneurs to realize their dream of starting a food business, especially when it comes to permits for packaged goods. By reducing financial barriers and streamlining the process, you can make it possible for more people to launch their ideas and bring exciting new products to our city. It's also important that permit fees reflect the actual health risks. Most packaged goods do not present significant risks, so high fees can discourage small businesses and startups. If we keep the fee structure fair, we will encourage creativity, stimulate job growth, and energize our local economy. I hope you will support the Best City to Start program and help our city become a leader in business and innovation. Thank you again for your time, and good night.
Hi, my name is Chris Lombardozzi. I live on 20 Eld Street here in New Haven, and I'm a local entrepreneur working to start a CPG company here with Josh, actually making energy bars here in New Haven. So small businesses are the character of the city. They give neighborhoods their personality, their energy, and their sense of place. They're the cafes, the shops, food makers, the service providers that make New Haven feel like New Haven. If we want that character to grow and thrive, we have to make it realistic for people to start businesses here. At the very beginning, before someone has earned their first dollar, upfront fees and complex processes can be a real barrier. What may seem like modest fees from the city's perspective can determine whether someone moves forward and decides it's just too difficult. Lowering first-year costs and simplifying permits, especially where health and safety standards are already covered at the state level, is a practical and reasonable step. It doesn't remove standards, it removes unnecessary friction. When we make it easier to start, more people participate, more businesses open, and neighborhoods become more vibrant and active. This initiative sends a clear message that New Haven wants people to build here and understands how important small businesses are to the fabric of the city. For that reasons, I support this initiative.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kwame Asari. I am the founder of Oshito, which is a consumer packaged good product that I found right here in New Haven. For the record, my address is 96 Carew Road in Hampton. As the founder of a consumer packaged goods business, I have been directly impacted by both of the policies being discussed tonight. I launched 5 years ago at the farmers market. Over the years, I paid the fees and followed the guidelines because I believed in what I was building and in the community that I was building it for. Today, our products are sold in grocery stores and online, all stemming from the support and community built from New Haven. I would love to return to the farmers market because that's where the journey began. But the current licensing requirements have become a significant pain point. By the time a packaged goods business reaches the stage, we've already complied with federal regulations, state approvals, inspections, labeling requirements, and certifications. These safeguards are, of course, important. But when local requirements duplicate what has already been verified elsewhere and add substantial fees on top of that, it discourages the entrepreneur forever getting started. I often think about the person with a great idea, someone who wants to share their culture, their craft, or innovation, but may never get the opportunity because the path feels too complicated or too expensive. Small businesses do more than sell products. We create jobs, we activate public spaces, we strengthen neighborhoods, and reflect the diversity that makes New Haven special. If we want to make New Haven to be truly a place where businesses can start and grow, then we should remove unnecessary barriers and create a pathway that fits the type of businesses being operated. Thank you, and I'm in full support of both policies.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, my name is Tamara Ketchian. I live at 380 Wildwood Drive in Orange. I own a packaged food business called Wildwood Granola. I have been a member of City Seed Farmers Markets for the past 4 years. Unfortunately, I made the decision this year to not pay for that catering license, which I don't feel like I need as a packaged food business. I am in a commercial kitchen. I pay the DCP as well as the health department, so I'm licensed multiple times. I do farmers markets and events all over the state, from Coventry to Milford down to Fairfield. I pay no fee for the same exact thing that I do in New Haven. It's unfortunate. I have a lot of customers in New Haven who are waiting for me to come back. It's a big, big barrier to small businesses. I started out as cottage food. Now I'm in a commercial kitchen and I have more overhead. So this fee is even more of a burden for me. And I feel like my customers are hurting because of that. So thank you for taking the time and looking into this policy. It's very, very needed. So thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you guys. Thanks.
Thank you to each entrepreneur who just testified again so eloquently. Next group we'd love to invite up is some other entrepreneur support organizations, the Arts Council for Greater New Haven, the Center for Inclusive Growth, as well as 2 of our SSDs who are here today, the Westville Village Renaissance Alliance, as well as the Grand Avenue Special Services District. Come on up.
Please state your name and address and organization for the record.
Yes, good evening. My name is Maria Alejandra Hope Lopez. I am the district manager for the Grand Avenue Special Service. Proudly representing our small businesses. We strongly support these policies to help our entrepreneurs grow and boost our local economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, folks. I'm Hope. Oh, wow, that was loud. I'm Hope Chavez. I'm the Executive Director at the Arts Council for Greater New Haven. And for the record, my address is 63 Howard Avenue. So as the Executive Director for the Arts Council, we support artists in the cultural sector across 16 towns of Greater New Haven. A lot of people forget that artists are actually entrepreneurs, and the way we think about the arts and culture sector is through that lens, and through the lens of the economic sustainability of our sector. We've always included the culinary arts in part of what we support and advocate for and serve. When we look at some of the permitting processes, the Arts Council's intersection with that process is usually around street festivals, supporting artist education, around how to vend at various fairs. We're also in the process of working with Yale Innovations and Yale Ventures on an accelerator program specifically designed for arts and creative businesses. One of the creative projects in that incubator right now is a culinary business, looking to scale across multiple verticals beyond the catering business that they have right now. So we're becoming more competent in this language of innovation, of entrepreneurship, and this policy really means a lot to the folks that we're trying to support in that process. We've noticed also that there are some equity challenges in a city that is incredibly racially diverse and incredibly economically diverse. We've also noticed recently with some of the entrepreneurs we worked with a little bit of a disparity of access to opportunity, often impacted by things like the costs and the complexity of these permitting processes. Creative entrepreneurs are often undercapitalized from the beginning. They often are not in spaces where they get to learn about how to navigate various capital opportunities like loans, like investments. And so being undercapitalized from the beginning can make it even harder when they're faced with things like hundreds of dollars of fines and complex processes. We're doing our part to try and help with the education and to help with the advocacy, and we need the city to also do its part and remove some of these barriers. So I'm just here tonight on behalf of my board and myself and this organization to really advocate that you all continue to make it an amazing city to start new projects.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you both for presenting and for testifying. The last two groups that we'll bring up is another group of entrepreneurs. I believe there are quite a few entrepreneurs in the audience who specifically, just like Apple Pie, can focus on the catering license. And then the last group will be neighbors, individuals who just want to support small businesses and want to see our processes improve in order to support our small business ecosystem. So we'd love to invite up, I believe Eric Sanford might have left, but the CDC team, if any of the other CDC team members want to come up, Doug Coffin from Next Door, Maria from Venezia Pizza, and then La Cocina de Sandra. And also if there are any other entrepreneurs in the audience who haven't been able to testify, who want to, please, or share your story, please come up.
Thank you. Welcome. State your name and address for the record before we continue your testimony.
Douglas Coffin, 128 Alden Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. I gave you all some remarks. I just want to, since we're running a long night, thought I would just hit some highlights. First of all, for people who think on fees and with you all with the budgets of thousands of dollars, I just want to say that $550 for me when I was starting a catering business was huge. It meant that I would be able to buy a reasonable size frying pan, a stock pot, maybe a RoboCoupe, because when I started out, I had nothing in the way of big equipment. And so $500 would just have been unthinkable as a catering fee. I just wouldn't have done it. But aside from that, just sort of stepping from the city's perspective, that the city really needs to have a licensing program that's effective. It needs to be able to know who these people are who are doing that. And if they have a high fee as a starter and people don't sign up, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. They really want to get people involved. And I think putting a $500 waiving the fee for the first year would be a good way to make sure that at least people are willing to think about registering and not set aside thinking of that as a big obstacle. I don't think that that will mean that everybody will rush in to sign up. I think the city could actually go a step further. And as Brian would be happy to attest to, temperature control is really vital to food safety. And if the city really wanted to encourage people to come in, they could say, okay, we'll give you a commercial refrigerator for a $100 a month rental. And that would serve both the city and also help the people get a start. I think that there's a tremendous amount that can be done to help the caterers and other food small businesses. And I applaud Carol and Sarah for all the hard work that they've done in helping to create that. I hope that this discussion of licenses will extend to trying to change the number of licenses that we have. When we were on it as next door to do some pizzas for a festival down the street, we were told that we needed a separate vending license in order to walk a box of pizza down to a place a block away, open it up and sell slices. And that was absurd. There should be one food license for covering everything in the city, and that the different things, activities that are being done need to be supervised, and you need to say, okay, if you're doing a truck, it needs to be inspected. If you're doing a vending, you need to make sure that that's vended properly, but it should not all be different licenses. It should be one license to do food in the city of New Haven. And I hope you all can address that at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Yours?
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you this evening. My name is Blaise Berglund. For the record, my address is 725 Orange Street in New Haven. I am delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you all this evening alongside my colleagues and my peers and my friends to support the proposed legislation of New Haven's Best City to Start. I am a New Haven resident as well as the Agricultural Programs Manager at City Seed, where I manage our farm to institution program that delivers Connecticut farm products directly to New Haven food businesses, schools, and health centers. I also have had the great joy of co-managing the city's farmers markets for the last 5 years, where I've met so many friends and neighbors that are in the room with us tonight. As the market manager, we work to co-create the farmers markets to serve really as a thriving community space that build opportunity and reflect the diversity of our city. A huge part of our role is facilitating that exciting next step for early stage New Haven food businesses to connect with consumers. We're often the first access point of information for so many curious people passing through to ask, how do I attain the same opportunity as everyone else with a tent here, right? It is my least favorite part of the day when I walk through the processes and explain what is necessary for folks, and then I get to the point where I tell people about the $650 catering license fee. And I see that shift in excitement, and when they learn that this legitimate barrier stands between them and one of the few entry points into growing their business. Well, there are many food businesses that have been able to break through at New Haven's farmers markets. There are still so many more that have not been able to do so because of this fee structure. Supporting New Haven's Best City to Start initiatives directly reduces barriers to our city's small food businesses, grows our local economy, and works to build a thriving food system for everybody. And thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All yours.
Hello, thank you for having us tonight and being here to hear us out. My name is Allison Benkia. I reside in Brantford 503 Plymouth Colony. I'm here alongside Blaze as who co-manages one of the farmers markets of City Seed. She's gone over some of the things that are importance of the farmers market, what it means to the community, and how we participate in the local food economy. But the biggest thing I wanted to highlight is just that the local food entrepreneurs have mentioned tonight is if they can't participate in our economy and create food and source and provide food for the community, they will go elsewhere. So this really points to the fact is many people are thankfully, luckily, have the opportunity to go elsewhere and continue their dream. But what that means is a huge loss for us. So while their businesses are flourishing in other economies in different parts of Connecticut, we are losing all of that. We are also, our reputation is not being held up as a place for opportunity and community and entrepreneurship, but one maybe a place to avoid and to steer away from. So that's the biggest thing, is that not only are we just losing the actual community and the financial aspects of the loss of these food entrepreneurs, is also the reputation of the city goes down in regards to how people perceive us as supporting our community and the economy. So I just wanted to highlight that, and I'm very grateful that you guys are here tonight. Thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you for your testimony. Proceed, please. Name and address.
Yes, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Sandra Trigueros. I'm from West Haven, 608 Second Avenue in West Haven, and I'm an owner of La Cocina de Sandra. I was trying to get my license when I started, and the price for me was a little, when you start a business, you don't have that kind of money to start, but I did pay for that. So, but I'm happy that this is going on right now. I really, I'm here to support that because I feel like they deserve, the people who start in a business, they deserve like a chance to see if they want to build a business, in like a year. They have the year to decide if not. So that's what I'm hearing. Also, the price, I'm also agreed that they should lower the prices on the license because in my opinion, right, but it's like they should be continue with the business if they see that the license will get not pay the same amount every. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name, sorry. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Maria Torres. I'm the owner of Venecia Pizza in North Haven, but I had a food truck here in New Haven 3 years ago. And it's hard to start. It's very expensive, was very expensive. When we start thinking about the brick and mortar in North Haven, it was the same price. And I'm here today to support this initiative for young entrepreneurs. In my experience, owning a business can be expensive. Under this initiative, we want the younger or new entrepreneurs not to be discouraged. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Address, please.
19 Woolsey Street in New Haven.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all for your testimony.
Thank you so much to those incredible entrepreneurs for testifying. think the last group is includes some neighbors and also some entrepreneurs. I see in the audience Ashton and Hayden, and I also see Katarina, who's one of the co-founders of Havenly. And if there's anyone else who would like to testify, this will be the last group that comes up to share their story and their experience.
Come on up, have a seat. State your name and then just for the record before you use your testimony.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashton Todd. I reside at, soon to be 69 Cantor Street. I moved here with my wife and child about 2 years ago, so I'm a relative newcomer to New Haven. But like Alexis Tocqueville, I think I have some good insights as kind of a foreigner to this land. And the first thing that kind of struck me from almost the moment we moved here was how passionate people are here about making and doing. And actually how quick they are to just make that decision and go for it. And I think that it's actually kind of a unique thing. I've lived in a lot of cities around the world, and I think a lot of people in those cities often just sit in their bubbles and go from one place to the next and don't really look at their neighbors around them very often. And I find that people look at their neighbors here, and to make a business is to make a community. It starts as one person that has the gumption to do something, but it takes off and they add another person, and the shared interest in that vision is what creates friends, family, and just a wider network that will make this city just more vibrant. And a term I like to think of is stickier. I think we sit between New York and Boston. Providence is further up the way, and I think a lot of people come here for potentially a year, 2 years, 4 years for training, whatnot, and then go on to a larger city. And I want them to stay here. We decided to. That's why we're moving from renters to homeowners, and it's because of our belief in this place and what it can inspire in others. And I think this dual piece of legislation is a fantastic idea and a great way to just make this place stickier and an easier place to start a business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Hayden Guyard. My address is 80 House Street, New Haven, Connecticut, and I'm here to strongly support both pieces of legislation put forth by Best City to Start. I am an employee at a local branding agency, Box 8 Creative, and also a freelance brand designer in the hospitality space. One thing that I've noticed in my years here is that the first thing that gets cut when it comes to making a new food or beverage business is the creative, which is what really gets your business going. And seeing both of these policies, which help alleviate the burden of finances on starting catering and CPG brands, that funding would go directly to building stronger businesses and building stronger brands, which would help the creative community here in New Haven. I'm a big proponent of city beautification, and as you walk down State Street and other areas, you just notice the passion and creativity by local restaurant owners and CPG brands. When those funds are a little bit lower, creative gets cut, AI starts coming in, or your cousin starts doing it, and it just lessens the impact of those businesses. And as such, I think lowering those startup costs would just bring those funds back into the community in a new way and also help support those lesser capital people. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katarina Fusoni, 817 Grand Avenue, New Haven. Thank you so much. I am the co-executive director of Havenly, which is a food business and a nonprofit that supports refugee and immigrant women. And I'm here to also testify in strong support of both initiatives, both proposals. We obviously have had experience both starting a food business and also supporting other women in starting food businesses with on ecosystem of small business support here in New Haven. And one thing I just want to emphasize is how hard it is to start something. I remember when we first got $1,000, and it was a huge amount for us. And one of the things we did is get a license with those. And so even if these sums might seem small, they actually make a huge difference for someone who's starting off. We counsel refugee and immigrant women who want to start businesses, and as was previously said, I have seen many give up on their dream just in hearing that fee. That's not, like, just don't even try. And I also want to emphasize that I do believe there's many people in our community who are informally selling food, and this will also help us bring them into our economy. They will keep informally selling food, which is a beautiful thing, but I imagine we all are interested in that being done with licenses. And so I believe that bringing many people into our economy as business owners is a priority for all of us, and that bringing down that licensing fee will allow them to see if they want to do this as a business owner for a year. Business owning is also not for everyone. And so it's hard to take a chance if it's that expensive. But if you can do it for a year for a lower fee, you can also see if that's for you, if you want to start a restaurant, if you want to be a caterer. And so I think this gives them an opportunity as well to see if they want to be doing it, that we will all benefit from as a city. I'm also a foodie and I'm really invested in getting more delicious food. So I think we'll all benefit from that. But I really want to emphasize the point about we are losing people that are never even going to try. And we're also going to be giving those opportunities to those who are most privileged if finances are a barrier to trying something. And I'm personally really invested in those who have been most marginalized in our communities, actually contributing to our economy and developing our city. And I think this will also have that benefit of bringing in those people that might be the most scared of risk or the least possible. It's not possible for them to take a risk instead of kind of the people who might be coming out of town with a ton of capital and not much interest in actually developing a community-based business long term. So if we really want to invest in our people, I believe there's many people that would benefit from this, and it would give them the chance to try. Even if they try it for a year and then they can't afford it, they might learn something and maybe they can start a business with someone else. So I'm very much in support of this, and I really want to just emphasize how many people we're losing because we're putting that barrier.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
Good evening. It feels hard to follow that. That was a great summation of the thinking that we have. My name is Markeisha Ricks, and I am the communications manager for the Center for Inclusive Growth. Sorry, I missed it a little early. I heard it, and I was like, oh, wait. And I'm just coming to you behalf, address 208 New Hall Street. I'm very happy to give you that address because I'm a new homeowner. And on that, along those lines of thinking, I think some of the most hopeful things you can do when you live in a city you love is 1, buy a house, 2, raise some kids here, and 3, start a business. At the Center for Inclusive Growth, we are created out of a historic partnership between the City of New Haven and Yale University. And one of the very important things that we've been looking at in the last year is talking to nearly 300 people in the city about what they want for the city, what kind of future they want to see for New Haven. And as you can imagine, strong neighborhoods with vibrant businesses are key to that vision. In every neighborhood we've been in, that's come up repeatedly. We're actually in a meeting right now about small businesses tonight that kind of conflicts with this meeting. But we made sure to encourage people who are interested in food businesses to come to this meeting in person and testify in support of both of these pieces of legislation. Because as you've heard tonight, fees can be a real barrier for really small businesses. And I want to flag for you that 66% of New Haven businesses are small businesses. And how do we know that? Because they generate less than $500,000 a year. And I submit to you that it's probably even smaller than that what you heard tonight are a lot of micro businesses who probably don't even clear $100,000 in revenue. So you want to think about that and keep that in your mind as you deliberate on these policies, because as you've heard, those just even what feels like nominal fees, $500 can be an incredible barrier for people being able to start. we're very interested in not only the starting of small businesses, but the sustaining of those businesses. We just launched a new initiative at the end of last year called BoA New Haven, which is invested in local procurement, asking anchor institutions to look at where in the contracts that they strike can they make, enter into contracts with small businesses to help those businesses thrive and sustain. And catering is going to be among the businesses that we're looking at. And how do you have inclusive policies around contracting and procuring your local sourcing? And anything that we can do to help more businesses get into business, stay in business, and keep money circulating in these communities that we all care so much about is really, really important to us. So we're very much in favor of any legislation that you might bring that would help people stay in business. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for testifying. I believe that's everyone who wants to come up to share their story. And before going to the other side and us having a discussion, Mr. Chair, I just want to thank every entrepreneur who came and shared their story, and every entrepreneur support organization who supports hundreds of entrepreneurs for sharing their story. And just thank you to each of you for listening. I know some of these rules, especially if you're not an entrepreneur, there's lots of layers to them, and there's a lot of complications. So just really appreciate the four of you to listen to every individual share their story.
Thank you, Alder Smith. That concludes our testimony for this workshop. Thank you, Alder Smith, for presenting, and thank you, Alder Miller, and for co-sponsoring this also. This is quite insightful, hearing this testimony and the challenge faced by the entrepreneurs. And we do hear their testimony, and small business is a driver in the economy, and for a city, it's an income generating revenue for a city, along with employment, etc., etc. So many things start from small business, and it's grow from there. So I applaud all these entrepreneurs and small business that invested in our community and wants to stay here, and hopefully that we can make it more friendly and affordable. So thank you. Any comments? I'll open up to alders if they have any comment before we close.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I really appreciated all of you coming out here tonight to really share your passion for, catering and food and whatever it is that all of you create, right? And I know that some of you also represent businesses as well. But I do think that it's really important to understand the different layers that come with starting a business, the expenses, and the drive, right? What it takes to continue a business beyond that first vital year that could really be the making or breaking of a small business, right? And so I just want to thank you all for coming here and sharing your stories and your insight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder. Any other comments?
I want to second Magda, it was very insightful to hear all of your personal struggles with your entrepreneurship and how this fee, can make or break certain people from coming forward. And we want to be an all-inclusive city and things of that nature. So thank you all for your testimony. It was very eye-opening.
Thank you, Alder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I also really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It was great to hear the stories. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I was sending off my 15-year-old on an international trip. That's why I was late. But it's great to see you all. Thank you for the great turnout. I've been thinking and listening to the testimony that there are so many things we do as the Board of Alders that are really complicated, and it's like not clear what's really the right thing. Also, a lot of things that take a long time to see any benefit. And to me, this is the opposite of that. This is something that is really straightforward, kind of a no-brainer. The benefits are so many. And it's also something that can have impact pretty much immediately on many, many people. So I appreciate my colleague for leading the charge on this, to all of the organizations, including CDC, where I work, for supporting and being involved, and just excited to see this move forward and to see the impact that we'll have on our community.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you, Alder Miller, and thank you, Mr. Chair. I completely concur with my colleagues in terms of just the deep feeling of gratitude. Again, I believe that entrepreneurship defined is taking a risk on behalf of us, on behalf of our community, on behalf of neighborhoods. And so such deep appreciation for every entrepreneur who showed up and testified. And I'm just excited about next steps. I know these workshops were primarily educational, to bring a lot of different individuals, entrepreneurs or organizations together in a way that's edifying, to share the challenges. And now I'm excited next steps to move forward with Alder Miller and in partnership with colleagues to think about what the next step is to either move this forward in the budget process or by ordinance or whatever process that's required to be able to move it forward. So just feeling a deep appreciation of gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for leading the charge.
Thank you, Alders. This concludes our meeting. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chair, did you want to give read and file to the items?
This is a workshop, and this will be read and file.
Need a motion to do that, sir?
We're gonna have a motion to read and
Read
file.
and file the items.
For two.
The both items.
Yep. Second, now we need second.
All right, second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Well, you got to vote, Mr. Chair.
You gotta vote.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All in favor for read and file?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstention? Ayes have it. So read and file. Thank you all. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting for tonight.
Second.
No, yeah, you want to vote on that motion? You want to vote on that motion, Mr. Chair?
All in favor?
All in favor for adjourn?
Aye.
All right.
So move.
Hey, get your hands up. There you go. There you go.
Snap.